Hi guys, welcome to new video. So today we will review a matchup between MaCrOzerg and Suwak in Armies of Exigo, and it will be a 1v1 on the map Elven Forest. So let's just unpause it immediately. In the bottom left corner we have MaCrOzerg playing with the blue color and the race of Beast, and in the top right corner we have Suwak on his main race Empire with the yellow color. This is one of the maps that we have in the last tournament. When I'm recording this, the tournament didn't happen yet, but when this is released, I think it is already happening, or maybe just in a few days, we will see. But basically, that will be the tournament Armies of Exigo Showdown 2, which is the 2v2 tournament, and this is one of the maps that will be used there. I don't think it was in any of the previous tournaments, but right now, of course, people are already training for that, so that is why we have a matchup here from MaCrOzerg and Suwak. This map is for 4 players in default, so there is more bases. Yeah? Other 2 players could be in these 2 corners, so there is definitely lots of expansion options. They could potentially take these bases, or of course there is like a natural expansion right in front of your base, but it's still pretty open. Yeah, there is really wide entrance, so you can't really like close it. You can close it here, but this will be still really open, so pretty dangerous to go for any quick expansions. There is of course also this one that is a little bit more forward but still pretty open, and then this one on the side, probably with the most narrow entrance but pretty far away from all the starting positions. So of course both players are starting with just a small front base here, trying to close the main entrance to their base, barracks and farm for Suwak, and arena and stables for MaCrOzerg. There is also one extra double expansion in the middle, which is actually in the mountains, so not accessible without flying units or some other form of transportation, but it's really powerful because here you can gather 4 gold fields at once and also 2 gems mines, so this is really strong. We see Suwak immediately scouting here with a peasant, checking the expansion that is, or the starting position that is probably the closest to him. I mean, this one is closer, but you have to go around here. So I think it's probably like similar length. And we actually see MaCrOzerg going for a really early stronghold. I didn't expect this. That's pretty risky. Fortunately for him, they spawned across the map, so there is definitely a little bit more time for him to prepare for that, and it wasn't immediate. He still made the arena and stables sooner. But his warrior is still kinda delayed. He definitely doesn't have a totem here yet, and now he will get scouted. So we will see if Suwak will actually find his expansion, because for now he just found the main base of MaCrOzerg and he sees these buildings. So, I mean, there is no indicator of actually MaCrOzerg going for an expansion, and this position is actually kinda hidden now. But we will see. Of course, swordsmen are also coming from the right side, so if Suwak will play really aggressively, he will probably find the base of MaCrOzerg, but he already has a warrior here. He has 2 barons, he's making a totem. But now there are the warriors, so he definitely needs to protect this, and he needs to probably bring some more minions there to protect this. Of course, he can kill the 2 warriors, 2 swordsmen with this, but if more swordsmen will be coming, then 1 warrior and few barons might not be enough, and looks like Suwak is successfully trying to, or managing to slow down the totem build process, and he also, I think he maybe even killed one of the minions that were building the stronghold. Now he will kill the second one. This minion should definitely go down, start building the totem. He's running away. MaCrOzerg is trying to delay it, but the totem is the thing that will save this. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if just units will do that, because he invested lots of resources into this infrastructure of the expansion, and Suwak is just pumping out units. But yes, lots of resources now also going for an expansion. So looks like Suwak doesn't even want to push this. I think if he brought some pikemen, he doesn't have actually blacksmith. He went for tier 2 first. If he made blacksmith first and he was making pikemen, he would get through these bronze quickly, and the swordsman might be able to stop this totem, but it was really close. Yeah, the totem was already like half HP when he came here with the swordsman, and now it's finished, so there is no more chance. Of course, yeah, Suwak can still push on the main base where there are no towers, but there is still this expansion, so yeah, probably the best answer, trying to catch up with his own expansion. He's on 800 HP when MaCrOzerg finished this expansion, so he's not that far behind, and he still has 6 extra population, so I think it's looking quite decent for Suwak. Unfortunately, he has only 100 gems, while MaCrOzerg has basically like 2.5 times more, so that's definitely huge value there. Suwak now trying to destroy these stables, but this is not good. He got completely body blocked by the whole army of MaCrOzerg, who is repairing these stables, so they won't fall. Suwak lost one swordsman there, and now he's just running here in the base. He also has a peasant here. MaCrOzerg should have definitely stayed here and just hold position with Borons to not allow the swordsman to escape, but looks like Suwak will be able to escape from here. He actually messed up the micromanagement there once again, lost another swordsman, and stables are still pretty healthy. Also Goblin hut now being built by MaCrOzerg. We don't see any more totems for now or any other infrastructure, just pumping out the minions and preparing for some Goblin hunters and Goblin riders. But Suwak already has a temple, he has a tower here. No towers in the back on the front base here, but this is a nice tower in the front, kinda half protecting basically everything. Of course, you can probably walk around, not sure if here, but definitely from the left to these villagers. But it's still a nice defense, so I kinda like this. One farm here to create some vision as well. And here is the blacksmith. There is not too many trees, so eventually there won't be much value from that for wood gathering, but he could also place it down here. Doesn't really matter, he mainly probably just wants to unlock some more units and maybe get some upgrades. Population is now basically balanced, 53 on the side of MaCrOzerg and 52 now on the side of Suwak, while MaCrOzerg has a little bit more unlocked thanks to the Borons. Gold, basically 0 on both sides. Suwak has way more wood in stock, but MaCrOzerg has the gems, which are of course way more valuable. So that is a huge advantage. This gems mine is really far away, so you can see 3 peasants getting exactly full value from this. So sometimes you can have just 2, here is 3 with full value, so this is really far away, but he is getting that pretty nicely. As you can see, MaCrOzerg is only gathering here with 2, so he's losing lots of gems potentially, but he still has way more gems, so he just probably started way sooner, and also he's not really spending them. While Suwak is already making priests here. Now also going for Gnome Workshop to get some catapults, which are really good against Goblin Riders, or even Goblin Hunters. And MaCrOzerg is actually preparing a totem here for a potential expansion. Suwak sending 1 scout on this side, either checking for more expansions for MaCrOzerg or just wants to make sure that he doesn't get pushed from the other side while he is pushing on this side. His Gnome Workshop finished immediately, clearing up a catapult there. Also 1 priest is being made here, also trailblazing, and some elf rangers there actually, and some upgrades for swordsman together with improved farming. So lots of things happening here on the side of Suwak. Also he's now 4 population, now actually 6 population ahead. From MaCrOzerg we just see some more goblins, and now that is the first encounter. MaCrOzerg has definitely stronger army here. There is just 1 priest. Yeah, no catapult, there is the tower. Now also expansion being placed down, which Suwak scouted. I think MaCrOzerg could have waited like 5 more seconds for this to not be scouted. I don't think Suwak maybe would see the totem, but doesn't matter much. Yeah, he has a strong enough army to protect this, so not a problem. Of course, Suwak immediately responding with the same answer and also placing down his expansion. MaCrOzerg now making a revive altar, also as weapon master, getting some upgrades for his warriors and goblins, and he also has a lizard fortress in the back, kinda hidden, so it's hard to scout for Suwak without a phoenix, and he might be getting some wyverns or striders there, or just preparing it already for warlocks, which are of course really strong, especially until there are mages. We also see bestiary and henge, so I'm actually expecting potentially some ogres. It could be just upgrades for trolls, but I think he would be already producing some trolls maybe, even though now he's investing a little bit more into economy and infrastructure. But yeah, he saw lots of swordsmen, so I guess he just thought that ogres might be a good idea, which they are a good idea. But Suwak is now also mixing in the army a few pikemen there, so it might not be as good, but it should still be fine. Also, Suwak is preparing 1 tower here on his main base, nothing on expansion yet, but this should protect against some potential harassment from the wyverns, for example. And now he already also has 3 catapults, so huge value from the siege units there as well. Expansion now finished. MaCrOzerg is already getting lots of value from this expansion. We'll see how many peasants Suwak prepared. He's now bringing some peasants from the other bases. MaCrOzerg scouting here with warrior and goblin hunter on the other side of the map. His upgrades are 1-1, while Suwak has also 1-1, but he also has elf rangers, where he's getting 1 upgrade now as well. So just more diversified army, trying to get upgrades for everything as well. And he is going for the ogres, I mean MaCrOzerg. Ogres with Witches. And some more upgrades, still nothing in the Lizard Fortress, and he's going for Lizard Keep, so I think he just made that for the Warlocks. And he actually made one Strider, okay. And actually second Revive Altar, probably just to create new units. He could potentially try to unlock demons, but I don't think that's the plan here. I think he just wants to reproduce his units that he will level up and then potentially lose. There is the one Scout, Suwak is hitting his units a little bit, but it's not that big of a deal with Empire, because we have the Priests and even Temple Heal here. He also damaged his Gnome Workshop a little bit, but that's also fine. And he actually made 2 Gnome Workshops, and now he's going for double Arc. Sorry, no, this is not Arc, this is Steambird. I kinda misjudged this image. This is Steambirds, so he's going for a little bit special strategy here with Steambirds, and those are kinda hard to take down with Beast until you have Manticores. Of course, Manticores have fire damage, which is totally brutal, because Steambirds take 190% from fire damage, so they will die pretty quickly and they can't even defend themselves against air. But without the Manticores, or for example Phoenixes from Empire, but against these, of course, from Manticores, yeah, again, if there are no Manticores, this unit is pretty strong. You have the splash damage there, it's just flying unit, siege unit, that has insane damage, yeah, it's just really strong. We see one Wyvern from MaCrOzerg, he tried to harass it a little bit, but actually survived on 5 HP. Kinda lucky, but it will be hard for him to heal the Wyvern. No upgrades here from MaCrOzerg. MaCrOzerg is definitely preparing for a push here, but the population is basically the same, and I think the 4 Steambirds here will definitely, actually 5, will definitely do the job and totally destroy this. I think he will immediately turn around and run away, because there's nothing to take down the Steambirds with. I don't think Suwak has Hammer of Fire yet, which is the ability you can cast with Steambirds, which is like insane damage. I believe it costs 150 mana, so now he could use it if he has it, but I don't think he has it. But you'll see, but even without that ability, the damage is totally crazy. As you can see, the goblins are hitting it. They will eventually take a few of them down, but the damage is not that good. There is also lots of catapults helping there. And even though he one-shotted basically the front line of Suwak pretty rapidly, thanks to the ogres and everything, all the splash damage, and I think Suwak didn't even have too many priests. His whole army just vaporized thanks to all the splash damage from all the siege units here. Suwak is using immediately his peasants to repair the Steambirds, because it's mechanical units, you cannot heal them. Of course, like catapult is also like half mechanic, but there is still some animal and living person there, even though there is also the gnome on top of the Steambird. But yeah, you can heal catapults with 50% efficiency. For Steambirds you need to repair them with the peasants. MaCrOzerg saying smart to the Steambird swap. Some level 3 upgrades for Suwak. He has some AFK peasants here, he will need to address that. Here is his Gnome Alchemist. We still don't see the what is it called? Hammer of Fire upgrade anywhere, but he might already have it. And MaCrOzerg trying to respond with his usual response of getting way more expansions than the opponent, but he's 50 population behind, same resources on both sides. And literally the only advantage now he has is this one base, and he's starting another one, but that's not finished yet, so he's not getting any value from it. Also, he's immediately responding with the Manticores. That's of course the right answer. Yeah, we saw that was the sound, that was the rocket, the Hammer of Fire from the Steambird, so Suwak definitely has them now, but he's getting really damaged here by the Manticore. One Manticore is killing all the Steambirds really rapidly, because Suwak didn't split them, and now there is a second Manticore as well, and actually Suwak even brought peasants with him to repair the Steambirds during the fight, which is really good. But unfortunately, once there are Manticores, you can't really continue with Steambirds unless you have lots of Phoenixes to one-shot the Manticores, because Phoenixes are also kind of counter to Manticores, because they take less damage from fire, not like Steambirds more, but less. So you can kinda tank lots of damage, plus with Novas, if you have lots of them, you can kill the Manticores kinda nicely, even though it's still the tankiest, or one of the tankiest flying units, so it's hard to take down, but with Phoenixes you can do that. And if you come with the Steambirds after that, you should be able to deal with it. But yeah, once there are Manticores, I wouldn't continue the Steambird production anymore, and looks like Suwak is also not doing that, and he's swapping to more catapults in his gnome workshops at least. He's also making lots of Elf Rangers. So MaCrOzerg going for another expansion. Suwak also made one here, so he will be on 4, which is what MaCrOzerg has, but now he also has this one. So once this starts fully working, MaCrOzerg will once again have one more base, but he's still behind on population. Both players now sitting on similar resources. MaCrOzerg a little bit more, but Suwak now has more gems, so that kinda turned around. I think there is a rally point missing on this bestiary. Small overlook, also some wyverns, yeah. Manticore lair now to unlock the ground attacks for Manticore riders. And looks like MaCrOzerg is trying to swap heavily to air. But Suwak is also preparing some phoenixes here. He has 2 Elven Sentries. He also has the Elven Rangers, so I think he shouldn't have too big of a problem with dealing with range, I mean with air. Also the towers will be really useful. And we don't see any siege units from MaCrOzerg, so it will be really difficult for him to push into the defense of Suwak. Now exactly same population, really destroyed bestiaries here. These bestiaries should definitely be repaired at least a little bit, otherwise it can get one-shotted by a Steambird. Some more phoenixes maybe, yeah, he's producing heavily, so he's preparing for the air. I don't know if he saw it or he's just predicting it, but he will be nicely prepared for this. Still same population, but not the best position for Suwak. He needs to definitely reposition behind the towers. MaCrOzerg once again making more bases, but Suwak has good scouting. I think he will find out about everything pretty soon. Phoenixes don't have much mana yet, and also he doesn't have mages, so these poison foes will be totally devastating for Suwak. I mean, once there are warlocks, you kinda already need to have mages to deal with that. But yeah, if we have enough priests and good position, plus he has the towers here, I think he could deal with that. Unfortunately, we don't see the priests here. Also some AFK pikemen in the back, but maybe he doesn't even want to use them thanks to all the siege units he has here. He can deal with everything on the ground pretty quickly. Now he brought the pikemen, and he might one-shot all of these barons, which will be a huge loss to MaCrOzerg. But yeah, there are still the manticores. Phoenixes are not fighting right now. I think Suwak was probably looking somewhere else, so Phoenixes were not doing their job here. Also, you should split them, even though they take less damage from fire. The split damage from manticores is still pretty powerful, and these Phoenixes will fall. Another Phoenix here in the back, AFK for now. Yeah, let's retreat to the towers, definitely. That might help a little bit at least. And looks like Suwak repelled it still. He lost lots of units, but he's still ahead a little bit in population. We don't see too many units anywhere, but of course they have so many bases that they have just lots of population in all the villagers everywhere. MaCrOzerg now gaining definitely a superior advantage in terms of the population. I mean the resources or just bases overall, just the whole macro economy. But he's still behind in terms of armies, so he needs to definitely start producing something. We don't see production in many buildings, and he's still missing so much population to fill up with units while having so many resources in stock. So we're actually doing some tower rush here while also preparing defense for his future expansion, so that's a nice move. Also he found this base, unfortunately he won't be able to stop it with this. MaCrOzerg still preparing some air everywhere, and now we're also getting some berserkers together with the warlocks and some barons, of course, for population, tanking, sacrifices, or even goblin riders. Really nice defense from Suwak everywhere, lots of towers around each base, just to protect everything. There is actually one tower that's not upgraded, but yeah, these peasants definitely need to be moved probably to this base, or another one that Suwak might build somewhere. We see some pikemen running here, but unfortunately manticores spotted them, but they might stop this base. Also Suwak is bringing his Steambirds here. There is a wyvern that is not gonna die to the Steambirds, but also it will take forever to kill the Steambirds with the wyvern. He needs to definitely bring the manticores there. He won't stop this expansion, but he delayed it. Lots of ogres once again actually from MaCrOzerg, and also utilizing the revive altars to get some nicely leveled up goblin riders here, or even some other units maybe. And he has 3 free upgrades already for his berserkers and goblin riders. Ogres are 2-0 for now. Wyverns no upgrades. Of course manticores same upgrades as the ogres. So MaCrOzerg kinda saved his bases, he just needs to bring some minions here. Suwak is building this base with teamwork, so power building that same one here, and this is still empty. So I think bases are kinda balanced, both players on full population, lots of resources. MaCrOzerg a little bit more gold, but Suwak more gems, which is really valuable for Empire. He still does lots of Steambirds, and I also saw, yeah, he's making knights. We saw the Circle of Ancients before, and now he forced MaCrOzerg from here, but MaCrOzerg actually got the how is it called? The battle cry from his stronghold to buff all the units. And he has lots of manticores here going for the Steambirds, but at the same time Suwak bringing his phoenixes and dealing with the manticores quite rapidly, hitting MaCrOzerg pretty heavily here, dealing some decent damage to him, but he's also losing the Steambirds, so it's like heavy hits on both sides. So he's actually retreating a little bit, so that he doesn't get scouted or anything. MaCrOzerg trying another base here, but yeah, Suwak actually finished this base, but he wasn't gathering here for a second. Now preparing some towers, that will be also really important. If you power build a tower with 5 peasants, as you can see, it's like, I don't know, maybe 15 seconds, something like that. So it's pretty quick. And then you just need to upgrade them, but I'm afraid MaCrOzerg will probably go there with his whole army and destroy it pretty quickly. Suwak definitely needs to keep an eye on this location, otherwise he will lose all of his peasants. Now he will see the army, but the question is if he will turn around and how quickly. I think now he should. It's too late, yeah, he will lose all of these peasants, unfortunately. Of course, he will probably try to come with his army, but I'm not sure if it's strong enough, even though it's full population. But we still haven't seen any mages in his army. I don't think he even has the obsidian tower for some reason. Or maybe he decided to play this game without mages, but since there are warlocks on the enemy side, I don't think this is a good idea. But he has a really good position here, and MaCrOzerg cannot escape from here. So the only weakness for the army of Suwak might be the ogres here, potentially, and the poison fox mainly. He doesn't want to push into the poison fox, especially with his priests, because they will just die to it. But now he's bringing his phoenixes as well. He has so many catapults. How many is that? It's like, I believe, maybe 11 catapults or something like that. So that's definitely a lot, not a single troll from MaCrOzerg to fight back with siege units. These phoenixes unfortunately died to all the damage. There was lots of splash also from the goblin riders, and they have now level damage 10. I mean 10 damage, yeah, level 3 goblin rider here, 12 damage, that's just huge once you have the splash damage. And together with bloodlust is even more, yeah, like 16. You can also get the attack speed buff that is spammable by witches. And as you can see, the front line of Suwak just totally disappeared. Even though we had the tanky knights there, the damage from MaCrOzerg is just too much. So the catapults will be definitely needed there. But now the question is how he can deal with the ogres. I think he should probably just one-shot them with the Steambirds, but those also got one-shotted really quickly by the heir of MaCrOzerg. Yeah, so MaCrOzerg is definitely ahead in population now, but maybe he has more units queued up. In terms of army, I think they both lost similar amount. Of course, these catapults definitely need to be healed. For Suwak for MaCrOzerg to deal with the catapults, I think he should probably make some demons, to be honest, and just spawn the chaos rifts around this. Once there will be like 30 imps running around these catapults, I don't think they will be able to work too efficiently there. But if he wants to go like this, it's probably also viable. He'll just maybe need a little bit more berserkers. Those are fast with the berries of haste. They can get there quite quickly. Or he can go for the air, but of course we saw that Suwak is preparing for that with phoenixes. Even though he's not producing any of them now, but he probably maybe thinks that MaCrOzerg will swap to ground army now. But I think he'll just continue with spamming everything he can. MaCrOzerg is definitely winning on resources pretty heavily. Now getting an expansion that he killed from Suwak here before. Suwak is definitely struggling with resources. Now actually making more production buildings. I'm not sure about that. Doesn't seem like he has the resources to actually utilize that. But maybe he just feels like his production now wasn't the fastest to recover to the full 200 population. But he should definitely take at least this base. Probably take back some of the bases he lost here, even though that will be definitely hard. But this one is not really contested yet. He also has the Steambirds here going for this base. Some phoenixes for protection. MaCrOzerg just accumulating his army. Suwak kinda standing on his defensive location. Unfortunately, this is actually this is only harm damage, so that shouldn't be that big of a problem. Yeah, harm is actually normal, so this is not that big of a problem, but Totem has really high DPS, so it's still really dangerous. And we have another fight between the main army of MaCrOzerg and Suwak here. MaCrOzerg going all in, and Suwak has really bad position, and now he's getting dropped on by some units. I was expecting some berserkers or even ogres. It was just some goblins, so they died pretty quickly, but still pretty dangerous position for Suwak. He needed to keep his opponent away. Once MaCrOzerg is close to the catapults, it will be GG. But fortunately, Suwak still had some units that he brought here. He had some buildings that had tanked some damage, but there is an ogre on these catapults. 4 catapults in the back, absolutely AFK. Not getting any value from those. And this ogre actually killed 2 catapults here and tanked lots of damage. Fortunately for Suwak, he now brought lots of swordsmen and knights here. And that looks like it totally destroyed the backline of MaCrOzerg. So this is a huge hit for MaCrOzerg. He's now definitely behind, but he still has so many resources. He just needs to work on the wood a little bit, because that's also limiting him a lot. Late game units usually cost lots of wood, so even if you have lots of gold or even gems, you definitely still need to focus on the wood as well. And Suwak is doing a nice harassment during these fights with these 2 Steambirds. MaCrOzerg needs to address that. He has some anti-cores here, he just needs to move them towards the Steambirds. Also, this could get easily destroyed. Yeah, the bases are not protected at all, which is something we saw from Suwak that he's definitely taking well care of by making guard towers basically everywhere, even before he made the base there, while MaCrOzerg is just spamming the strongholds everywhere and trying to basically create bases faster than Suwak can take them down. Even some knights attempts here with the from Suwak trying to take down another expansion, but he already destroyed this one before with the Steambirds. Here he should be able to take the base now. He has 0 resources, but he still has full population of army. The problem is that his units are just don't have any levels, so he's not really getting any auras or any of the other bonuses that you can get from levels with Empire. Just some stat buffs, of course. While MaCrOzerg can, of course, reproduce the strong leveled up units from his revive altars, which he's trying to do, but he doesn't have population now, so it's not really working. But nice harassment here with the knights. Suwak also nice harassing here with his Steambird, stopping another base. Now getting pushed away by the Manticore, but he should be fine. We see production of more phoenixes to protect himself against the Manticores that are still pretty dangerous. Now another push from MaCrOzerg. Nice push with lots of leveled up ogres and even some berserkers, stopping this expansion that Suwak was setting up, and it was a really important move for Suwak because he needed to get the resources there. Now it got completely stopped. Even the knights were not able to help here. He's just trying to deal with this with the Steambirds. MaCrOzerg should probably retreat with these ogres or just go for another base. But now actually the Manticores are coming, so he's just actually intentionally keeping the Steambirds here busy, and now the Manticores will quickly deal with them. This will be just a one shot for all of them. Maybe the Steambird can survive or some phoenixes can come back, but probably not. And now ogres are coming for another base. The towers will get basically one-shotted by that. Not sure what is more interesting now, maybe the towers, yeah. Towers against ogres just totally ineffective. Same as against knights usually, yeah. These units are just completely broken against towers. This base will now also fall, but Suwak might lose his main base here. Unless he brings some units there. I think even the knights would just be good, but he's probably just going for a push. MaCrOzerg has few units here, but totally ungrouped, unformated, so it's just standing here without any micro control, and he's just gonna lose all his units. Also, will probably not lose anything here, but he will lose his base, so that's of course also a big hit. And MaCrOzerg has the resources to remake everything. As you can see, he's still on full population. He has lots of units queued up. Now the Manticores are actually dealing with his catapults, and he doesn't have any anti-air here. I don't know if he has any phoenixes again, only 4. That might not be enough to deal with these leveled up Manticores with all the upgrades as well. Should definitely at least utilize the aura here on the swordsman by bringing it closer to this location to get some extra survivability. But we will see that it was all the Novas, didn't do much. Now he will take down this base, but MaCrOzerg destroying unrelentlessly Suwak's bases one by one. And even though Suwak is now a little bit ahead in terms of population, all the resources of MaCrOzerg should definitely still be enough, especially with all the air here. He should be able to take down all the catapults. So I think MaCrOzerg should be still pretty much fine here. His main base didn't really get any heavy hits yet. He's losing some expansions, but he's still gathering on other spots. And he's still like 30 population behind, but 5,700 resources, I mean gold, 1,200 gems. All the air there. Yeah, so actually it's not just not really able to deal with the air now. Finally going for the mages, but I'm afraid this is a little too late. If you would make the mages earlier, it would definitely help a little bit, but actually the replay just finished, so I'm not sure who actually... It didn't say who won, but I guess they just ended it for some reason, or I'm not sure, but the replay finished, so this is the end. But I haven't really seen who was victorious there, and I don't think we can see it here, so I guess MaCrOzerg won that because he had way more resources, so Suwak didn't have any more answers for this. But in terms of scores, yeah, we can take a look on this. Total score pretty similar. For units, MaCrOzerg produced like almost double, but Suwak definitely way better micromanagement and just counters overall. So he got 356 kills, MaCrOzerg only 249, basically reverse losses. largest army, a little bit bigger for MaCrOzerg. He was spamming lots of goblins there at one moment, so they just accumulated at one time for a bigger army, but way more experience for Suwak. Unfortunately, the units were not really surviving for too long, so now towards the end he had like 1 aura there from the swordsman, but overall not too many units were actually kept alive throughout the game, while MaCrOzerg was able to resurrect them with the revive altars. Also, if you kill units with ogres, you can't even resurrect them, so that was also a big factor of MaCrOzerg's play there. Suwak was not able to resurrect too many of his units actually too often. And with the buildings, Suwak actually had double the infrastructure. Of course, that's also really important that he made so many towers on all the expansions. That was a big part of these buildings. Buildings destroyed, basically the same on both sides. Also buildings lost. With the researches a little bit stronger on the Suwak's side, but maybe he just had a little bit more diversified army, so he needed more upgrades. And then the resources, MaCrOzerg get 12,000 more gold. He spent also 7,000 more, which is actually not that much since he created like double the amount of units. But I guess, Suwak was making really expensive units like Steambirds, but he was using them pretty efficiently, so he had probably lots of kills with the Steambirds without really losing them. But overall, the resources were actually not that big of a difference in terms of how much they spent on the units. As you can see, Suwak actually spent more gems. He spent more gems than MaCrOzerg even harvested. Also wood, pretty much balanced. Nothing too really interesting here. So I think pretty interesting game. 39 minutes and 40 seconds. Still not sure how it exactly ended, but I don't think this was like corrupted replay or anything. It just this was the whole replay. Not sure why it didn't say who won that, or maybe I missed the message. But once again, maybe MaCrOzerg and Suwak will tell us in the comments how it actually ended. But I think MaCrOzerg won this matchup thanks to the resource advantage. So hope you enjoyed this game and take care, guys.